been holding out so long, I've been sleeping all alone. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging on the phone, I've been slipping all alone. I won't kiss you sometime. Well, I've been howling in my sleep, you've been starring in my dreams. Hold on, miss you, child. I've been waiting in the hall, been waiting on your call. Your phone rings, it was just a friend of mine to see. Hey, what's the matter, man? They're gonna come round at 12 with some Puerto Rican girls that's just dying to meet you. We gonna bring a case of wine. Hey, let's go make some food around, you know, like we used to. Yeah, we gonna do club midtown, you know, we gonna make some food around.
Our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, China, what they are actually trying to do, and what they think they're doing. I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane. I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. That's what's insane about it.
This could be the first trumpet, might as well be the last. Many more will have to suffer, many more will have to love. Don't ask me why. Oh no. Things are not the way they used to be. One and all, got to face reality now.
God is not only after him for him saving you, God is after him for tricking you, for deceiving you. God is after him.
Don't let anybody make you think God shows America as his divine, messianic force to be sort of policeman of the whole world. God has a way of standing before the nations with judgment, and it seems that I can hear God saying to America, you're too arrogant. You don't change your ways. I will rise up and break the backbone of your power, and I'll place it in the hands of a nation that doesn't even know my name. Be still and know that I'm God.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, There is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
The patsy is artificial. Lee Harvey Oswald was supposed to be a great communist sympathizer, except he was working for the CIA Operations Director of the U.S. Customs and other U.S. agencies. Right? He was sheep-dipped in the Soviet Union. They attempted to sheep-dip him in Cuba. They didn't succeed. Muhammad Atta, highest Muslim fundamentalist? No. Somebody who went to the discotheque, cohabited with a prostitute, and was a great admirer of vodka, gin, and other mixed drinks.
No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary. I am not asking your newspapers to support an administration, but I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people. For I have complete confidence in the response and dedication of our citizens whenever they are fully informed. I not only could not stifle controversy among your readers, I welcome it. This administration intends to be candid about its errors. For as a wise man once said, an error doesn't become a mistake until you refuse to correct it. We intend to accept full responsibility for our errors, and we expect you to point them out when we miss them. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. That is why the Athenian lawmaker Solon decreed it a crime for any citizen to shrink from controversy. And that is why our press was protected by the First Amendment, the only business in America specifically protected by the Constitution, not primarily to amuse and entertain, not to emphasize the trivial and the sentimental, not to simply give the public what it wants, but to inform, to arouse, to reflect, to state our dangers and our opportunities, to indicate our crises and our choices, to lead, mold, educate, and sometimes even anger public opinion. This means greater coverage and analysis of international news, for it is no longer far away and foreign, but close at hand and local. It means greater attention to improved understanding of the news, as well as improved transmission. And it means, finally, that government at all levels must meet its obligation to provide you with the fullest possible information outside the narrowest limits of national security. And so it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance, confident that with your help, man will be what he was born to be, free and independent.
I'm in agreement with the idea that there is a secret space program. I think my reaction always is, why wouldn't there be? The reason being that we have had secret programs, scientific programs, for a long time. In the United States in particular, we had the Manhattan Project, which was the development of the atomic bomb. We kept that secret very well. What we didn't know was the Japanese were working on the atomic bomb, and the Soviets were working on an atomic bomb, and the Nazis were working on one as well. So everyone manages to keep these kinds of secrets very well. Today in the United States, we have the Patriot Act. We have all sorts of ways for the government to keep secrets from the people, especially after 9/11, so that the possibility that there exists a space program being run, let's say, by members of corporate America or the military-industrial establishment is very possible. Why wouldn't there be? If our scientists truly believe that the world is becoming less habitable, whether global warming is caused by humans or not is not the point. If it's happening and if the planet is becoming less inhabitable, then it means that some scientists, some organizations who can create some form of space travel will be desperately working on this. My fear is that those first seats will not be taken by people like you and me. It's going to be taken by people that we really basically don't trust and don't like. And they'll be the first ones off planet. That bothers me.
Don't ever change your ways. Fall with me for good days. For my waterfall.
Now she's walking through the clouds with a circus mind that's running wild. Butterflies and zebras and moonbeams and fairy tales. All she ever thinks about is riding with the wind.
A thunderstorm can be a terrifying event, perhaps touching something beneath the surface of consciousness. Even today, science does not understand lightning's cause. But with new technology, we can now observe lightning in slow motion. We can fly directly into thunderstorms. And we can observe electrical events from space, seeing lightning as it has never been seen before. For years, we ignored direct human testimony about exotic forms of lightning. When airline pilots reported electrical discharges launched into space above the thunderclouds, scientists dismissed these reports. But now we know that blue jets and red sprites are real. Only recently did we begin to appreciate the electrical circuitry of our planet. By firing into space, blue jets, red sprites, and their exotic companions reveal a direct electrical connection to a much larger environment through which Earth itself moves. Our planet responds to surrounding space as a charged body would respond to regions of different charge. Auroral displays, for example, are now known to connect directly to the electrical domain of the sun. Most scientists dismissed this connection until it was proven by space-age findings. Meteorologists and atmospheric physicists were astonished to discover a flow of charged particles moving along magnetic field lines from the sun and entering Earth's upper atmosphere to light the auroras. The Earth-Sun connection means that space is not electrically neutral, as astronomers, cosmologists, and planetary scientists had so long supposed. Every early culture looked back in terror to the flash of a heaven-shaking thunderbolt. This great weapon of the gods never looks like the lightning we know. Never. Often the mythic thunderbolt is depicted acting in one direction only. But even more often, the images accent a bipolar form, an unexplained curiosity. But today, this mystifying weapon, the thunderbolt of the gods, is recognized in laboratory experiments with high-energy electrical discharge. And its bipolar form is seen in space as typified by the dynamic electrical structure of nebulas. The result is that the picture of planetary history has changed. The divine weapon, both celebrated and feared throughout the ancient world, now connects ancient mythology and symbolism to the most far-reaching discoveries in space. And one conclusion rises above all others. Just a few thousand years ago, cosmic events transformed our sky, forever altering human consciousness and cultural history.
The idea of the source field is a very unique concept. It's the idea that space, time, matter, energy, biology is all being created by a universal consciousness. And that universal consciousness appears to have loving energy as its main attribute. So the pineal gland, according to many, many different ancient traditions, appears to be the main access point between that astral body and the physical body. It's the physiological center that determines how psychic information gets in. When we go into Babylonian art, we see sculptures of the god Tammuz actually holding a pine cone in his hand as if this is a very important tool that he's using in his work, which may well be psychic. It's not just a chunk of flesh. It's mostly hollow. And inside that hollow area is water floating around. Then the interior tissue that the water is connected to has little cells that are called pinealocytes. And the pinealocytes appear to be almost exactly the same as the rods and cones in the retina of the eye. If you have this retina inside your mind, it's wired up like an eye, it has retinal tissue, what the heck is it looking at? Well, it appears that there's crystals in the water, and then darkness activates some sort of electromagnetic shield around that water, which then allows it to open itself to the source field. The pineal gland has DMT crystals, calcite crystals, and other crystals that are floating around in that water, and they appear to be piezochromatic, meaning that as they're compressed by energy fields, they give off colors of light, different colors, a full color image, ultimately. The source field is able to vibrate those crystals and release the photons of whatever your astral body is seeing. So literally what I'm saying is that as your astral body is out there floating around looking at things, you pick up those photons, you send them back to your pineal gland, and then it vibrates those crystals and gets caught by the retinal tissue and fired into the visual cortex of the brain. This is explained by the idea of the silver cord. Many people, when they go out of body, claim to be seeing a silver cord that is connecting their astral body to their physical body. So what if this silver cord is actually a traversable wormhole? What if it is literally a stargate, that the water inside your pineal gland is the trick? If you don't have the water fully flowing, then calcium is going to build up because the pineal gland is not protected by the blood-brain barrier. So that calcification can actually grab onto the DMT crystals, the calcite crystals, and there are so many things in our Western dietary system that calcify the pineal gland and will make you much less psychic. And that includes, the biggest offenders would be refined sugar, white flour, fried food, and factory-raised meat. If you can eat ethically raised organic meat, or none at all, organic fruits, organic vegetables, lots of fresh, clean water, specifically the best kind of water would be reverse osmosis. You want to get those minerals out of your body. You got to give your body a chance to decalcify. And the more organic and raw food you can eat, the faster that's going to work. Whereas all these other foods, like white flour, which is in everything, pasta, bread, that's going to calcify your pineal gland and make you notably less psychic. I have gone through the entire solar system and showed how the planets are all experiencing climate change just like the Earth. That the galaxy is pushing us into this new energy zone. That we're actually, solar system is actually colliding with a cloud of energy that has a higher, I hate to use the term, but vibrational frequency. It's a higher density of energy in the source field. And that higher density is speeding up the vibration of atoms and molecules on Earth. The founding fathers appear to know everything about this. Now, if you want to know what's really going on with the so-called Illuminati, and why these people are so interested in preserving their bloodlines, why there's a royal succession right of kings, it's because those people with the funny heads, they didn't disappear. They've been here and they've interbred more and more, and they look enough like us that you don't see the difference. I don't think we're going to stay ignorant. I don't think this is going to remain mysterious. I believe that we are going through a galactic transmutation of what it means to be human. I believe that most of the people who are visiting us are good. They founded Christianity. They founded all the major world religions. They worked behind the scenes to give us what we needed to evolve, to become more loving people, to be more attuned with the source field, so that our pineal glands can awaken and we can be ready to become those light body people who are predicted to come here at this time of the end of the age.
Dreams, sir, I'm lacing up from using starts and broken hearts, the most courageous beauty. So I'm lacing up mother's milk, ragged silk trucks and the whole tree, ragged doshes, broken toe, elevate, turning back for mothers, broken down, so days glow, sleeping all low, dreams and all low, pesky old crow, heather and thistle, no prince to follow, hope that they follow, hope's all they
Imagine that we live in an age of reason, and the global warming alarm is dressed up as science, but it's not science, it's propaganda.
There's no direct evidence which links 20th century global warming to anthropogenic greenhouse gases.
We're just being told lies, that's what it comes down to.
You can't say that CO2 will drive climate. It certainly never did in the past.
If the CO2 increases in the atmosphere as a greenhouse gas, then the temperature will go up. But the ice core record shows exactly the opposite. So the fundamental assumption of the whole theory of climate change due to humans is shown to be wrong.
Back porch fence just to see the dogs running with the wing and a question.
I think it's both subliminal and very obvious. I mean, you have alert levels going up, people being afraid.
Our military and our intelligence bureaus have been studying this kind of invisible weaponry for decades.
Change has come to America.
That is not an accident.
George Bush was forced to disassociate himself from this entire thing, which he actually did very effectively.
Subliminal messages. You talk about subliminal.
They won't look at that pretty eye. Now they don't realize that they're being engineered.
The idea of violating free will is something that even God doesn't do. And yet man thinks they can do this.
Why are people maxed out? I mean, consumerism becomes a secular religion where we use material goods to fill holes in our souls.
Are you smoking yet?
We started to ask the questions, who funds the Institute of Medicine? Where does the money come from? Does it have conflicts of interest? Now, the answer is yes, because this report, which is about vaccines, comes from the IOM, which is funded, get this, Alex, it is funded by Monsanto, PepsiCo, McDonald's, and all the major vaccine companies, Merck, Pfizer, Eli Lilly, Johnson & Johnson, Wyeth, AstraZeneca, Sanofi, Aventis. All of these companies are giving money to the Institute of Medicine. Now, why
think about the precedent, though. If they could set the precedent to make us take their products and to try to mandate it and then run the hoax that it's the law and make us eat GMO, and as the deaths mount and the disease mounts and as their own reports mount, they just run around saying we're conspiracy theorists.
Because I'm an expert on electromagnetic radiation. I had no idea they had put this thing here or advised me what was going on. And when I started doing my own investigations, finding out things like this law that you mentioned, that Marty Oakley mentioned, looking into the research on it, so I obtained all these electronic devices to actually scan and find out how bad it is. And it's far worse than you can imagine. 8 to 10 times a minute, it's going up somewhere around 14,400 times per day. When you get these kind of waveforms in this frequency range, what they do is they affect what's called calcium channels. And they basically, to explain, one of the major effects they do is they make channels open and dump calcium into your cell, which totally messes up. When it does that, the cell basically screams and says, what do we do next? And it actually jams up all kinds of enzyme pathways, can turn on genes for cancer, can cause you to have a heart attack or cardiac arrhythmia, can basically demineralize your cells. And people need to understand that the most important thing in your cell is mineral. And that's why Dr. Carlo did research, one of the major researchers of the cell company, and turned on him, discovered that the #1 protectant against radiation is adequate intracellular minerals.
Monsanto investors are concerned about reports that one of the company's key crops may be losing its effectiveness in warding off crop-killing bugs, the very same pests that it was designed to combat. A researcher at Iowa State University says corn crops at several farms in northeast Iowa are being attacked by destructive pests, and there are fears that the Monsanto crop is spawning a superbug.
Corn syrup smile, I'm very in denial. I'm walking down the radiated grocery aisle. I'm cheesing so hard, they say what happened to Chris. I guess they genetically modified my happiness. So give me some refined sugar on the lips. I'm surrounded by mannequins with shopping lists. I'm drinking fluoride out the fountain, making me a fool. Chlorine in my cup and sipping swimming pool. Little Debbie's got diabetes and hypertension. The species in your food is what they forgot to mention. Nowadays it's too expensive to eat healthy, so I supersize my E. coli with this side of filthy. My two best friends are salmonella. It's pros that